Hello YouTube, Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting on a Fan. Today is Thursday. I almost said Tuesday. No. Today is Thursday, January 2nd, 2020. The time is approximately, I'm going to say that is 7:52 p.m. Eastern Time. I would like to, the sun is in Capricorn and the moon is waxing in Aries, the sign of new beginnings. I would like to acknowledge my 4 newest YouTube channel subscribers. They are Shirley Wenlock Hott, Monica Little, JCG, and last but not least, Reverend Yolanda Roger Anthony Mapes. I hope I got that correct. Wait a minute, let me look. I'm so used to referring to her just as Yolanda that it's like, oh, wait a minute. Reverend Yolanda Roger Anthony Mapes. Okay, now I got it right. So I want to talk a little bit about 2 of the subscribers because they're people that I hold in super high esteem. So Shirley Wenlock Hott is the owner of the delightful, the delicious, the personal favorite Hoovian paradise, the Pandorica restaurant on Main Street in Beacon, New York. Or as I lovingly call it, freaking Beacon, baby! I love the Pandorica restaurant. I love Doctor Who. Yes, I did watch the New Year's Day debut of series, series 14, 15? I'm looking at my awesome audiovisual person. Is it 14, 15? Doctor Who, you know, with Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor. What series is that? Oh, it's series 12. Thank you. Series 12, which was on New Year's Day. I loved it. And I loved the title, Spyfall Part 1. I was like, I know this is a play on Skyfall. And there was this one scene where they had like James Bondish music. I'm going way off tangent, but I don't care. So if you are ever in Beacon, New York, and if you are a die-hard Doctor Who fan, or a Whovian as we prefer to be called, I cannot over-recommend the Pandorica restaurant. The Pandorica restaurant. I love the place. And just to let you know, the bathroom, on the front of the bathroom, is the TARDIS's door. And yes, the bathroom is bigger on the inside. I never get tired of saying that. And those of us who watch the series, especially the I don't know if it's safe to say revised or revitalized, but the modern Doctor Who series, you will notice that the dishes are named after some of the storylines in those episodes. And yes, I happily post my meals there on Instagram, but that's another story, and that's another video for another day. Anyway, so I am honored to have the Shirley Wenlock Hott as one of my YouTube channel subscribers. And of course, Reverend Yolanda. I love Yolanda. I have been raving about her for years and years. And here is another example of somebody amazing and beautiful and wonderful and magnificent and supremely talented that I met at a cultural event. I distinctly remember several years ago, Reverend Yolanda had performed at the Musto Cultural Center in Union City, New Jersey. And I remember at the time I did not have a laptop. I didn't have home internet as well. So I went to my local library and I remember I saw a flyer for an event that was a gender-bending experience. And I thought to myself, oh, there's no way I'm going to miss this. And there was no way that I did miss it. And let me tell you, that was the beginning of my frequent visits to Yolanda Land. And I will tell you, I am so very supremely long overdue to review her CDs on my personal LGBTQIA+ oriented WordPress blog, This Gay Man's Life. But I will tell you now I have absolutely no excuse because she has so many wonderful albums. And her newest album, which is going to be released this year, I don't remember if it's going to be released in February or March of 2020, but it is called Yolanda Nanda. And I was like, oh yes, yes, yes. First of all, like a lot of witches, I am drawn to Hindu culture. And what fascinates me is how many witches I've met that are fascinated by the Hindu goddesses and gods, by Hinduism, by Sanskrit, by chanting, by mantra, by mudra. And of course, I have a few mala bead necklaces, which serve me very well. Well, when I use them, they serve me very well. But I am thrilled that she's going to release this album of mantras and chants in the Sanskrit language, and I must admit, I'm looking forward to seeing which ones she selected, because I do have my favorites, but that's definitely another video for another day. In the meantime, this is the official video for the November 2019 entry of the Many Moons 2019 Lunar Planner. And I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of my beautiful yet quite weathered copy of the Many Moons 2019 Lunar Planner. And yes, I do already have my copy of the Many Moons 2020 Lunar Planner. And I will tell you that truly one of my favorite words in the English language has become pre-order. I know that some of you were very excited about getting your own copy of the 2019 edition, and I don't know if any of you did, but for those of you who want to get your copies, there will be a link. There will be a link in all of the videos of the stockists, so you might be able to find some in your state if you live in the United States, in your country if you live in another country, and of course online. I definitely did take a look at the stockists list this time around, and I was a bit disappointed that some of the ones that I saw last year were not there this year. And I was especially surprised that one of them, which is where I purchased 2 copies, one for myself and one for one of my favorite people on the planet, Swan of Dreamers, the Michelle Swan Graham, wasn't there. And I was like, you know, although I must admit, I am long overdue to return, so now I definitely want to return and talk to the staff and see if they did have it this month, or if they had it last month. And of course, it's a really great place, and they have beautiful merchandise, and you know, it's a part of Brooklyn that I don't get to go to that often, so it's nice for me to explore. Anyway, so with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about the tarot or oracle card pull for the month of November 2019. I'm going to use my trusty light source. So it says, pull one card or a series of cards for this month. Suggested spread, which we're going to do. What is the potential transformation of this month? Where must I commit to self? What will I learn by focusing on the potential of myself? What is opening up to me as a result? So this is a 4-card spread, and what I was divinely guided and intuitively led to do was, even though this is for November 2019, the casting of these cards will be from the period of November 2019 through January 2021. By the way, speaking of 2021, according to my copy of the Many Moons 2020 Lunar Planner, the copyright page all the way in the back lists the copyright from 2019 through 2021. So it looks like those of you who do not have the 2019 edition or the 2020 edition and were unable to get the 2019 edition and were unable to get the 2020 edition, you will have one more chance. I think several videos ago in this ongoing series, you may recall I mentioned that I was told by one of the managers of Myths of Creation in Brooklyn, New York, that the 2019 would be the last edition. However, through the powers that be that I lovingly refer to as the Great Goddess, and the living goddesses that have contributed to the 2019 edition, and maybe a few chats with Sarah Faith Goddess, who created or co-created with the Great Goddess the Many Moons Lunar Planner, I think that she decided to give it another go for at least 2 more years, 2020 and 2021. By the way, Sarah Faith, if you happen to be watching this, thank you, thank you, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. Okay, so I was divinely guided and intuitively led to use the Everyday Witch Tarot, created by Deborah Blake and illustrated by Elisabeth Alba. Elizabeth with an S, by the way. I already shuffled the deck, I already cut the cards, I don't know what this is. Oh, this is something that belongs to my awesome audiovisual person. Anyway, so, I'm going to go through this slowly. First, what is the potential transformation of this time period? So, this time period beginning November 2019 and concluding January 2021. I'm going to hold, oh, I love this. I can tell if the cards are upright or reversed before I turn them over. You know I love that in a tarot deck, or an oracle card deck for that matter. So I'm going to show you the cards first. I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up, and then after the close-up I will look at the card and I will interpret it. It is the Seven of Swords. So once again, what is the potential transformation of the month, of this time period, from November 2019 through January 2021? The potential for transformation is surrendering and releasing any thoughts that things were taken away from you, even if they literally were taken away from you. And it's so funny because I'm thinking about a long-time client, somebody who began using my psychic services in September 2001. Now those of us that either live, work, or know people who live and or work in the New York City area, September 2001 is a very emotionally charged time period because that was the month and year of the World Trade Center attacks in Lower Manhattan. So this individual began using my psychic services in September 2001. And it's so funny because I immediately thought about her just now. And I really feel that she is an example of beginning to surrender and release attachments to theft, whether it's the illusion or the reality, surrendering and releasing thoughts of injustice, surrendering and releasing thoughts and ideas of injustice, of being wronged. And I think that wrong needs to become obsolete in our lives. You know, instead of asking ourselves, what am I doing wrong? Where am I going wrong with this? Perhaps it's about, what am I doing right? Because one of the most important things that I've learned, especially as someone on a journey of ever-increasing prosperity consciousness, is focusing on lack and limitation and hardship only increases that. When we focus on the blessings and the treasures we already have, those things increase as well. So, I'm going to say it like this. Focus less on what you are or what you might be doing wrong, and focus more on what you know to be doing right for you, and what you know to be working well and doing right by you in your lives. And that will be an opportunity for transformation. You know, even though this year numerologically reduces to 4, as in Trump 4, the Emperor card of the Sacred Tarot, which corresponds to Aries, the sign of new beginnings, there is this strong vibration of transformation and transmutation for 2020. And I've been feeling it intuitively, I've been feeling it magically, I've been feeling it energetically, I've been feeling it a lot. And I really feel that for a lot of us on this journey called life, 2020 is a year of divine transformation, powerful transmutation, and really completing a long overdue cycle, a cycle that needed to end eons ago. Not decades ago, not years ago, not millennia ago, but for us, eons ago. Okay. The second card, where must I commit to self? As in yourself, as in myself. You know, as in treat yourself. I'm thinking of Lucian of Crossed Paths. You know, treat yourself. I know he didn't come up with it, but he made it his own brilliantly. Okay, so once again, where must I commit to self? So once again, I'm going to show all of you first. I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up. And then I'm going to look at the card and I'm going to interpret it. Okay. Three of Swords. Where must you commit to yourselves? Where must I commit to myself? Banishing back to the nothingness from whence they came, every heartbreak, every unfulfilled promise, every possibility that remains unfulfilled. And you know, it's so funny because one of the most profound things that someone ever said to me about the ending of romantic relationships was that it is a form of a death, because that romantic relationship or that friendship or that family relationship for that matter has ended. It has died. And as a result, there are certain possibilities that are not going to be fulfilled with that particular individual. But a few moments ago I realized just because they were not fulfilled with that particular individual doesn't mean that they shall remain forever unfulfilled for you. Now, maybe all of you knew that already. And I will admit that sometimes I'm late for class. You know, like the night school class or the living life well class. But I really have come to realize that, yeah, you know, I just a few moments ago I began thinking about some of the romantic relationships I no longer have. And there were unfulfilled possibilities and promises with those individuals, but that does not mean that they are forever unfulfilled. It just means that now I can fulfill them with other people. I can fulfill them with my divine consort. I can fulfill them with any other divine consorts that come into my life, in our lives. It could be somebody that I hold in high esteem, that with whom I have these wonderful, delicious, and overjoyingly beautiful sacred play dates. It could be a number of people with whom I could have these fulfilled possibilities. As I need to take a sip of my tea. And yes, I am still rich and famous. I had forgotten how delicious black teas are. And yes, in case you're wondering, I am drinking a cuppa of Bromley Estate Tea. I'm actually following them on Instagram. That's how much I love their teas. To which I added, by the way, a little bit of light cream and a small combination, because it is a small combination, of light brown sugar and Domino brand granulated golden sugar. So good. So yeah, so to conclude that interpretation, if there are unfulfilled promises and possibilities with people that are no longer in your life, or no longer in your lives, then see if the people that are in your lives right now are the ones with whom to fulfill those possibilities. Anyway, moving forward, what shall I learn by focusing on the potential of myself? So I'm going to read that one more time. What shall I learn by focusing on the potential of myself? So once again, I'm going to hold up the card. I'm going to ask my awesome audiovisual person to do a close-up. I'm going to look at the card and then I'm going to interpret it. Six of Wands. So the potential is great success. Potential is great or success. It's actually great success, greater success, and virtually unlimited success. You know, it's funny because there are tarot decks where all of the cards have titles or have subtitles, as the case may be. You know, for example, one of my personal favorite tarot decks is the Barbara Walker Tarot by Barbara G. Walker, also known as Barbara Walker. And in that tarot deck, the Six of Wands is subtitled Glory, as in spiritual grace and spiritual glory. And I look at the Six of Wands, and given that this is from the Everyday Witch Tarot, what I'm getting from this particular Six of Wands is that there really is not only an opportunity in 2020, or specifically between November 2019 and January 2021, for great success and greater success with regards to one's professional endeavors, with regards to one's career opportunities, with regards to one's creative expression, but also with one's spiritual success, with one's spiritual attainment, spiritual development, spiritual entrainment, and spiritual evolution. Or to say another term altogether, spiritual ascension. What is opening up to me as a result? Or rather, what is opening up to us as a result? So again, I'm going to hold up the card. I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up. And then I'm going to look at the card, interpret it, and we'll take it from there. Everything good? Thank you. Ace of Swords. How very appropriate. Because one of the things that I love about the aces is that they correspond to a change of seasons. Now, traditionally, swords correspond to the element of air. So the Ace of Swords for me corresponds to the date, or at least in my part of the world, of the autumnal equinox. If you're in another part of the world, such as, let's say, Australia, New Zealand, it would be the vernal equinox, the spring equinox. So for me, what I'm getting from the Ace, and what I love about this card is that the autumnal equinox in my part of the world will occur between November 2019 and January 2021. In fact, it will occur once. And I hold up the ace because, numerically speaking, in the tarot, aces have a numeric value of 1. In fact, in some tarot decks, you will notice that the aces are renamed ones. In fact, speaking of Australia, if I'm not mistaken, in Lucy Cavendish's The Oracle Tarot, which was published by Hay House, I believe that the aces in that tarot deck are called ones. So there will be one autumnal equinox, vernal equinox, occurring between November 2019 and January 2021. Now, offhand, I do not know when that date is, but let's say for the sake of argument, it will be on September 21st, 2020. So that is going to be a prime opportunity for you to live this balanced, solid foundation, this solid, balanced foundation. And I say that because for the last several years, the great goddess has told me what each year represents. And 2020 represents the year of a solid, balanced foundation. And of course, the polar opposite of Aries is Libra. So when the sun is in Libra this year, for those of us in this hemisphere, this will be a time to really fulfill and realize that solid, balanced foundation. You know, think of it like a fawn, a baby deer. You know, it's still like gaining its strength, and it's still learning how to walk and whatnot. So it's going to be like, by the time that the autumnal equinox rolls around, this will be a fully grown deer. Beautiful, powerful, graceful, majestic, etc. And you know what? And the final message card, which is from the bottom of the deck. I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up, and then I will look at what the card is, because I have no idea. Although something just flashed in my mind, why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised? I can't make this stuff up, it's so funny. Because you know what it is? This is why I'm saying, why am I not surprised? So it's the Queen, well, hold on. It's the Queen of Wands. Now here's my thing. According to Julian de Berg, who created one of 2 or 3 tarot decks entitled the Celtic Tarot, all of the queens correspond to the fixed signs. So fixed fire is Leo, as in the sign of the lioness. However, from my personal psychic advisor, Roger Pratt, the queens represent cardinal signs. Cardinal fire is Aries. And again, 2020 numerologically reduces to the number 4, as in Trump 4, the Emperor card of the Sacred Tarot, which is astrologically aligned with the sun sign Aries. And of course, one of my favorite ornaments on my Yule tree is this image of the Emperor card from the Universal Goddess Tarot, created by Maria Caratti and illustrated by Antonella Platano. It is a Lo Scarabeo tarot deck. And appropriately on the Emperor card is Athena, the Greek goddess of war and wisdom, of sacred strategy, of creativity, of arts and crafts, and definitely somebody who corresponds to the element of air, as well as fire, as well as the mind, as well as the will, as well as the passion. So I love seeing this image of Athena, which is a beautiful image of her, if I do say so myself. So again, here is this Aries-Libra balance, this Aries-Libra pole, if you will. Because remember, in Western astrology, Aries and Libra are polar opposite signs. So I'm curious to see what starts to happen and what culminates for all of us between the Sun's transit in Aries and the Sun's transit in Libra in 2020. And of course, you know, here we have the Queen of Wands. Here we have the Six of Wands. All that red. So there's a lot going on, you know. There was a lot going on. And it's funny because when I first saw the Six of Wands, I thought it was the Justice card. Not the Justice card, but that's okay. So I really feel like there's a lot that's already beginning to sprout and a lot that's already beginning to germinate for us in 2020. And again, even though it's only 3 days into the new year, I really feel like things are already beginning to flow, things are already beginning to pop, things are already beginning to sprout. And I really feel like there's a lot going on behind the scenes and under the surface. And my sense is that definitely after Imbolc, after February 2nd, we're going to see a whole lot more happening. You know, I love Imbolc because it venerates one of the most beloved of Irish goddesses, Briad, who I often refer to as the Irish goddess of divine healing, divine inspiration, and divine prosperity. She's the goddess of divine HIP, H-I-P, healing, inspiration, and prosperity. And she's a very powerful, multifunctional, vast goddess. You know, she is... I don't know her to be a creatrix goddess of Ireland, of Era, if I'm going to pronounce it in as close to correctly in Irish as possible. But she really is an Irish goddess that strengthened the foundation of the creation of the Emerald Isle. So I really feel like what Briad, goddess and saint, brought to Ireland secured its foundation, strengthened its presence in the material world, in the physical realm, if you will. So I really feel that Briad is going to become a much more venerated, much more important goddess in 2020. Yeah. Okay. So YouTube, thank you so much for honoring who I am and what I do. If this reading resonated with you, do let me know in the comments. And I'm very excited about what 2020 has for many of us. And I won't deny it, it has a lot of good things happening for me. I'm needing to remember to be patient, because some things take more time than I think is necessary. But as I am inclined to say, they didn't consult me, because honey, if they consulted me, the shit would be happening right now! It would be happening right now! Did I mention I need to cultivate patience? Anyway. So, as always, thank you for honoring who I am and what I do. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the comments. By the way, in order of making me happy, likes make me happy. Shares make me happier. Comments make me almost completely happiest. Those of you availing yourselves of my psychic services make me happiest of all. Notice that my hand is above my head, and you can't even see my hand because I'm not going to have my awesome audiovisual person do a close-up of my hand, because we know what my hands look like. So, happiest of all when you use my psychic services. But I do want to thank those of you who did avail yourselves of my psychic services in 2019. And I am thanking all of you in advance who are availing yourselves of my psychic services in 2020. Good night, have a beautiful weekend, and stay tuned for the next video.